welcome to 10 Very Big Books, a Malazan Readthrough podcast. My name is Peter Bond. I've read every book in the main series, however, my co-hosts have not. With me today is my friend and closest confidant, India Jones.
Hello.
Our producer, Anthony Jr. Fileri.
You can't out me like that. The J is my most close-kept secret.
The AJ, and the last but not least, he goes from his head to his feet. It's Joshua Dean Baker.
That is how matter in human bodies work. I'm really proud of you, buddy.
I was like, I'm gonna do a rhyme, and I didn't have it in me.
You really did.
So
you can try it again. I can give you a second one.
So I've had this. I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna pass. I can't do it. So for a while, I've had this great idea for an intro. You know, it's gonna be really funny.
We should use that one today, then.
Got him.
We've released a few episodes. It was like someone's birthday, and then we had like a St. Patrick's Day type of thing, and they were like really specific to days that really specifically dated us, you know?
Yeah.
So I had this idea. I was like, man, the next episode, like, we're going to record on January 10th, and we should just make it really specifically dated, because it'll be a really boring time. And, like, I just thought it would be funny to choose a really banal day and be like, oh, let's date it to Saturday, January 10th. Who cares about this day? And, first few weeks of the new year here in 2021, and it has not been as an uneventful January 10th. I mean, relaxed day for me, but maybe not an irremarkable time. So my plans didn't work. That's the end of my story.
Nice. I think we should just get really into the Bean Dad discourse.
Yes.
And I did just want to say, I wanted to say Bean Dad at least once, because I feel like that would really age this appropriately.
Yeah, because the reason is Bean Dad right now in the real timeline was like a week ago, but in my mind, I was a younger man. You know,
yeah, Bean Dad only lasted for like 2 days in the zeitgeist before there was a fucking coup.
Well, some other stuff happened.
Yeah.
All right, so
I have to admit, I have no idea what that is.
Inch, it's not worth you learning. It's not worth you learning.
100% true.
But, I would love to check in with how everyone's doing. You know, last time we were on the show, we had a somewhat heavy discussion, and then we all went on a super long break. You guys recorded a Krampus episode. We all took like 3 weeks off for Christmas and New Year's. So, like, Inge, how you feeling? How's the new year? And how you at coming back into Midnight Tides and coming back on the show?
The new year had a rough start. If you heard, Kim and Kanye might be getting divorced.
Yeah, I have heard that.
I think they filed, right?
I don't know if they filed yet. I don't know. But, you can imagine it's been a really tough time for me.
Damn, I didn't hear about any of this. They just went to an island together.
Yeah, I know.
That was months ago, Josh. That was months ago.
Love is crazy. Love me. It's crazy.
What is time, AJ?
Yeah, so I'm happy to be back with the gang, doing what I love, and I'll leave somebody else to bring up the other unfortunate events of this week.
Listen, we've already alluded to it. We all know we don't need to do that on the show, but let's get down to the hard-hitting question, which is, are you like pro the divorce? Are you against the divorce? Do you have a hot divorce take?
I'm pro the divorce because in 2021 we are all leveling up and we are leaving what leveled us down behind.
Damn.
Wow. Oh my gosh, what a fierce, powerful statement.
Thank you so much.
Anthony, how are you leveling up this year?
I have a third display now in my whole setup.
Level up.
3 monitors,
I've got my laptop, my original monitor, and then my parents' old monitor that my partner was using, but she got a new monitor for Christmas, so now I have.
So what you're saying is Tara got a new monitor, and
I didn't say I got a new monitor. I said I got a third monitor.
He was very clear about
This is a very old monitor from my parents that does have a line of dead pixels all the way across it.
Oh my goodness.
It works.
I feel like
it
fun audio.
Really a little different than getting a divorce energy, I'll say that, but I can respect it all the same. Josh, do you have any big leveling up to do, or should we start the show?
I don't really. I mean, so like in my one campaign, my swashbuckler is right about to hit level 12, but she did hit level 11, which is big because that means 3 attacks per round, which is fucking crazy, man. And then my other character, my occultist, is level 4, which is big because he gets rapid shot. So that is going to be a full attack action with an extra shot on it. So those are my big level up news.
Hell yeah.
You thought I was going to cut you off there, but I didn't. You know, I just let you
talk about it. I'll talk about Amaryllis and Nile all day.
Me too.
All right.
I love this character.
Pete, what about your 2021?
Yeah, what's your big level up?
Oh,
Nobody's complimented the shape of my eyebrows.
India, I've never once in my life thought about someone's eyebrows. So sorry, that's not changing for you.
Oh my gosh.
From a laugh to a
Tears
cry.
on mic, baby. My big leveling up is probably has to do with therapy. But that's a more candid answer than everyone else's. So I don't know. I'm gonna like eat more popcorn. I don't know. Is this something good? Was this funny?
Therapy's
Great.
Good for you.
You know what?
I thought the popcorn thing was good.
I love popcorn. It's my go-to snack.
Now, you thinking like kettle corn situation or just like plain old popcorn?
Love kettle corn, love therapy, and love big tins of popcorn. If anyone wants to give me a big tin of popcorn, I'm all hands, but not maybe after the pandemic, you know? So with all of that said, one of our, a really great intro, we nailed it. 10.
Yeah.
What just got you?
I made a bunch of notes of some things I wanted to bring up on the show, and when I said it, I just wrote 10 out of 10 on it, just because. All right. India, our listener Derek specifically requested you read the intro, read the chapter summaries. So why don't you kick us off into chapter 20?
I assume that means I have to read it then. Great.
Thank you. Take it away, Inge.
Chapter 20. Within the Eternal Domicile, Bryce and the Sita discuss the army's retreat and defense of Lethras. Bryce is worried, especially about his brother, and the Sita says he must not kill him. Shirkalal waits for Jaren Ebrick to return. The Finad does, and upon hearing of the robbery of his estate, he kills his house captain. She trips and gets stuck and decides to wait the night. Bug and Tehol discuss the impending fall of Lether and Eater sorcery. Then Bug speaks of the hold of death and the sealing of a land that has caused a lack of death. This magic thaws now, leading Kettle returning to life and a hold of death forming at the Azath house. Tehol still thinks it's not a good time to crash the economy, and he sends Shand, Hishan, and Rastar away. Bryce speaks with the Queen's consort, Turadal Brizet, who claims to be an objective observer. He says to Bryce that the Eater will win and the Queen wanted war because of wealth and destiny. Then speaks of the history of the First Empire and Lether. Bug goes to the Ratcatchers Guild and speaks with Rucket and Ormley. After Bug goes to the Azath and speaks with a stranger who prevent the Talani mass from joining. Bug wonders why the man stirred himself awake now. The Finad Marok Nevath returns to the city. He later comes to the palace to meet with Brizad. Brizad says he has need of Marok, and that the Finad is not trusted since he did not die at the Queen's side. That he can reclaim his glory by killing the god of Jahek that is here in the city. Kettle needs food and water. She's alive. Bug helps her, but not before being psychically besieged by the Toblakai underneath. Bryce is within the throne room and observing the king. The king refuses to leave the city and says he would sooner die than retreat. Garen Eberict arrives complaining about his losses and is given dispatch to quell the riots. He thinks he knows who stole his money. After the Preda warns Bryce that Garen suspects his brother, the king wants Bryce by his side at all times. Bryce agrees, but considers that sooner than later they will be dead. Never doing it again. That was the one and only time.
It's for you, Derek.
That one's for you, Derek.
That was for you, and I hated it.
So, Josh, the chapter starts, and Bryce and Sita are just talking about many things, but amongst it, there are, we're touching in with maybe the Letheri's position in regard to the Eater, and just kind of what the defense of the city looks like. So, as master tactician of the podcast, a title I'm just dubbing you now, what do you make of the Lethari forces and and what the Eater will be meeting when they cut to the city?
So I do think it is important as an army to feel like, I feel like it's important for a military to feel powerful and to feel like, they have the capability of performing the tasks they need to. But there is a level of confidence that just breaks into stupidity. And I feel like this is the moment where I go, you're all going to die. That's fine. It's what's going to happen. Because, their strategy is essentially, well, listen, all right, before, okay, we just didn't have enough people, all right? So,
and that's what happened. That was the problem at High Fort. You could tell. You were there. They just didn't have enough people.
Literally, their strategy is, well, when we're all together, the power of friendship, maybe? it's gonna bring us through to this day. Shit. But then, all you need is that person to raise their hand and be like, excuse me, Master Strategic, didn't they also have their forces split into three? Because, the Eater also haven't all been together the whole fucking time. So, if they're individually, their three armies are constantly fucking you up, why do you think that the three of them together aren't going to continue doing that? It really, that made me annoyed. I was like, y'all deserve to fucking die. Do a tactical retreat, okay? Harass the army. I understand the wraiths are powerful, but you gotta come up with a way to counter them.
Do you think they're all gonna die?
I don't think they're all gonna die. I feel like it's pretty tough to introduce this entire civilization and wipe it out in one book. You know what I mean? I feel like there has to be some remnants of them, but as a whole, I personally believe that Lether society will collapse in some fundamental way.
AJ, do you agree?
I don't know. I don't have the brain for this like Josh does, so a lot of time reading this stuff is just huh? But him saying it like that and then having the context of knowing what the king thinks, which is just I'm gonna die, so I'm just gonna stay here until I die. I feel like part of that strategy, if he's involved in the strategy at all, is just bring everybody back here, as far back as we can go, and then maybe that'll somehow minimize casualties because they'll just burn a path straight for the throne room or whatever and murk me. I don't know, though. I don't really know.
It feels like a very Helm's Deep strategy they have come up with. Well, no one's ever broken into the city of Letheris. Yeah, but no one had ever fucking broken through all your frontier towns too, idiots.
Yeah.
Just because it hasn't been done before don't mean it can't be.
Yeah.
So Shirkalal waits for Garen Eberic, and then later we see Garen Eberic given leave to go into the city, and then he kind of makes a cryptic remark to Bryce. So, India, what do you make of Garen Eberic now that he's returned to the city and kind of what he's up to, and maybe his entire role thus far is kind of sort of an antagonist? I don't know. I don't know how I would describe him. So, what do you think about Mr. Eberic?
I don't really understand his purpose or what he's doing other than just randomly killing people, maybe for a purpose that I don't know.
That's kind of it.
Yeah. I other than that, he just kind of seems a little complainy and violent. I liked the scene where Shirk was there and fell and did her little comedic relief thing. That was cute and funny. But other than that, I'm not really getting much from this character or any future plans. I am also not like Josh, and I can't see the future.
I feel like that scene is like maybe the only part of this chapter that's funny. I feel like it's the only time we pierce into a bit of levity in the chapter.
Pierce in, because she gets...
I said it on purpose.
Nice.
Ha 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 ha. Did you like that? Did you like that little... We stopped the show for that.
Yeah, I liked it.
All right. Let me ask you this then. So Bug and Tehol have a discussion about the hold of death and how it is, people don't die and then it manifests in the Azath, and then Tehol is like, actually, I'm still not going to crash the economy. So 2 questions. First, is Tehol ever going to crash the economy? And number 2, did this clear up what's happening at the Azath house and the dead people staying alive in the city?
No, it didn't. Still very unclear. I don't know. And I feel like he is like currently crashing it a little bit. Like, I think it just is like, he's just doing a lot of shit anyway. So isn't it just kind of gonna crash on its own? Aren't we like, wouldn't a war kind of do that? I don't know.
Josh, you just sat back on your chair with a pondering face.
Well, I'd forgotten about the hold of death. And it did make me think, because I just mentioned the wraiths. Is it possible that when the hold of death is like fully unveiled, that the wraiths would just kind of pass on? That would be a fucking huge blow to the Eater if like those souls with nowhere to go suddenly just vanished and left them on their own.
What if they just killed all the Eater?
Well, I think the bigger thing is like the reason the wraiths are there is because they've never been able to pass on. You know what I mean? Like, there's been nowhere to go, and that's why their souls were easy to be captured. God, that'd be fucking crazy.
But don't they come back to life? And like, what if they all came back to life?
I don't think they come back to life. The only one that came back to life is What's-Her-Face, and that's because the crippled god made her.
Why isn't Shirk
She was trying to die. No, not Shirk. I'm talking about the wraiths. The Tisty, Andy. Oh, yeah. Well, no, Shirk got cursed.
But when they come to the place, isn't that where everyone just kind of lives? Lether?
But like the whole continent has this issue, apparently.
Huh.
They were frozen,
Yeah. It's just that Lether's the only place that had sorcerers who were like cursing people to be undead or whatever.
Okay. So when the hold dies, what's supposed to happen to everyone?
We don't know, because and by hold dying, I think she means when the hold of death like fully comes to fruition.
Yes.
Exactly.
Like, I don't think we know India. There's not really a precedent. So I mean, imagine if I don't know. There's all those ghosts. Like, we haven't seen them in a bit, but like, for all we know, when the hold opens, they just all get sucked up, and the wraiths get sucked up. I'm curious of what that would mean for Shirk Alal. I'd be very sad if she was gone. I love her. I would hope the curse would win.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Part of me feels like it would be like a choice kind of thing, because they're already out here.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
But I think given the choice, all the Rays would be like, yeah, fuck off.
Oh, yeah. They'd be like, yeah, eat my ass. I'm gone.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting, though, now that we kind of have this context of like the Azath house is turning into the hold of death. Like all the people that were buried within the Azath house are now coming out because they thought the Azath house was more powerful than death. And now it's like...
Well, the Azath house had trapped them. Like, none of those people are dead. Like,
no, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's like, the better alternative for us is to trap them in this house instead of killing them.
Oh, yeah.
And now it's like, oh, fuck. We should have killed them.
I forgot.
Well, not like we should have. It's just like, I wish we were able to. I don't know.
All right, everyone. Time to drop into a one-time only segment on the run of our show.
Okay.
Here we go, baby. She's a grand old flag, she's a high-flying flag, and forever in truth may she reign. She's a symbol of the land I love, the home of the free and the brave.
Yeah.
Yes, my heart beats true for the red, white, and blue, and forever in truth may she reign.
Those aren't the lyrics.
Jeez, I forget the bum.
You forgot.
We're cutting it out.
Keep your eye on the grand old
flag.
Jesus.
Peter, you knew so many more words than I did. I didn't know half. I didn't know there was a second verse.
Half of them were made up.
What? That was so convincing.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the America Zone. That's where the 4 Americans talk about our experience as Americans, baby. Because we bleed red, white, and blue here on this podcast.
Or at least one of those colors.
Hey,
So I guess and you might be wondering, why did you sing all of It's a Grand Old Flag? Great question, And it's because this, obviously this book is talking a lot about economies, capitalism, and, labor, value, these types of things, And I don't think it's any hot take that it is reminiscent of a type of capitalism in America. I mean, I think there's several direct allusions to American economic systems, these types of things,
there are literally people drowning in debt.
Well,
Wow, I didn't catch that. That's good.
The event is called The Drowning. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, but I know. I didn't make that one little connection I needed.
Fucking cheese.
I just wanted to say, I think, here's a quote that started all this. Turald Brizad speaking about the failures of Lethari, because like the queen here, he says, destiny as victory, victory as conquest, conquest as wealth. Mm-hmm. But nowhere in that perfect scheme will you find the notion of defeat. All failures are temporary, flawed in the particular. Correct the particular, and the victory will be won the next time around. And I really like that last part of the quote, that all failures are temporary, flawed in particular, which speaks to an idea of America to me, about a type of, optimism, a type of just like, I don't know. And increasingly, I think more about that quote and what it means to me and what it means to me in an American context. And I wonder if you 3 have thought at all about America in reading this book, and have thought about, and if it's made you think about the 50 states in a different way.
Yeah, I think, I'm as far as Steve's like symbolism and stuff go, I think the Lether is America symbolism is like the most obvious throughout all these books. So, they're all the time when we're talking about the economy and specifically the drowning and stuff. It's just like, oh, this is like clearly an allusion to the way that things are run in America. And Pete, I think it's interesting. The second part of Brizad's thought there is, and future scholars will dissect every moment of these days, assembling their lists of the particulars, the specifics from which no generalization threatening the prime assumptions can ever be derived. It is in truth an exquisite paradigm, the perfect mechanism ensuring the persistent survival of an entire host of terrible, brutal beliefs. And it is just like, it's the origins of like American exceptionalism, right? Like, no matter what happens, people will always take the things that are not everybody, but just like there are people that will take like any event and only focus on the good parts of it, or the parts that they want to cherry pick out of it,
Yeah, and although I should say, I don't know, I would probably disagree with you a bit. I don't know if it's a direct analogy for America. Lether's certainly
I don't think it's direct.
That,
I don't think it's direct. Sorry, I don't want to.
I
just think it's the most forward of all of the analogies.
Yeah, I mean, imperialism and capitalism is such defining aspects of this culture, Lether, and you can see how that, along with a certain type of decadence, can be drawn comparisons to America at times. Mm-hmm. But to touch back on something, I really agree with what you said there, Aj, is that like, this idea of like seeing good things out of it, and just like, I don't know, all failures being temporary, and that like if we just fixed it, we're gonna get it right. I don't know. I feel very I don't know about you guys. I think about this a lot. I feel very conflicted about it. I don't think that's like the worst mindset ever to have, but it also has like a ton of problems. So I don't know. What do you think, Josh?
A lot of this has gone over my head. I don't think ever about like real world connections when I read these books. Which I guess is, I feel like on my part, I just like fully like get into like this explicitly Lether and its issues. I'm never like, yes, this is a great analog for X. It just doesn't how my brain works. I'm sorry to not be able to yes and.
That's okay.
Ange, do you think a lot about your Americanness?
It's definitely crossed my mind, but similar to Josh, Like, I'll be like, oh, this seems purposeful and kind of familiar. But then I'm just like, but that's not what I'm focused on here. So I'm not like, it'll pass my mind, but it's not something that I've like taken the time to think about further. But yeah, I mean, I definitely see it and agree with what you guys are saying when you put it the way you're putting it. But I don't really have any specific thoughts on my own other than like, oh yeah, this seems familiar. This seems purposeful. And that's it.
Do you want to put a button on our one-time only American Zone America segment?
I don't know if it'll be a button, but it'll be my final thought. Everything we talk about in Lether is all about the economy, and everybody's worth is based on how much wealth they've accumulated and their place within the economy. And I think in this moment, kind of specifically in reference or in context of the things that Brizad is talking about, these ideas of exceptionalism and stuff, regardless of what's going on, it's like, oh, well, as long as the economy's good, then we're good. And if you look back at the past 11 months or whatever of COVID, it's like, oh, well, as long as the economy's good, we'll be fine. Like, as long as people keep working, and we don't send them too much money because then they won't want to work, then everything will be fine and we'll be good and America will be great. We'll figure this out and everything will be A-okay. It's just not how it works, I don't think, but here we are. And
everything is A-okay. 10 out of 10, baby. I wrote it down. No problems, And all right, let's end, I would say, one of our worst zones we've ever had. The America zone is off into the
Very
sunset.
on brand.
Bye.
So, to bring it back to the books that we ostensibly talk about on the show.
Should we sing the entirety of God Bless America for the end of that segment?
You can edit that in the post. You can do that in post.
Yeah.
There's so much that we didn't talk about in this chapter still.
Mm-hmm.
I know, and I just spent like 15 minutes talking about America. What a waste of our time management was off.
It was not 15 minutes,
It wasn't
okay?
15 minutes.
All right, it just felt that way, That's how slowly it felt.
Yeah.
Please, can we move on?
But anyway, fucking Christ. I don't even know, man. Josh, you asked someone a question.
Yeah, sure. So AJ, that brings us to my next question. And I call it, I don't know if I have a name for the question. I really started saying I call it, but my brain hadn't caught up with the question. So I guess I'll just ask you a question instead. Who do you think Bug is?
Yeah, I have no fucking clue.
At this point, it has become clear that Bug, we've known for a bit that Bug was more than meets the eye. Mm-hmm. I mean, he could be Optimus Prime. I guess that is in the realm of possibility with Steve. You never really know.
Yeah.
But I think in this chapter, this is the time when he, speaks to a god that I'm like, and the god is fully aware in at least in some way of who Bug is, that I'm now curious if he's from this continent, if he's someone we've met and we just don't know him by this name, which is impossible. Well, it's not impossible now in this fucking series, but
yeah. I have absolutely zero clue. If he's somehow the god of the Jack or something, I have no idea.
Oh, well, they said
that's the only one that we don't know. We don't think we've seen them.
Right. We know the god of the Jeheks in the city because that's why they're coming here.
Right.
Right.
And we know Brizad is the errant.
We've now, spoilers for 2 chapters from now, but yes, we know that Brizad's the errant. I don't think he's a god, though. But that would be crazy.
I have no idea. Just he knows of the Jagat and stuff.
That's true, yeah.
Nobody
so
else
be old.
does, so he's super old, right? I don't know, man.
He's definitely old. He's definitely not from here, in my opinion. I think he's got to be from... Well, I don't know, because he was confused about the Hold of Death, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and Josh, we do know Bug fucks.
Well, Bug definitely fucks.
And gods do be fucking.
But it's been a while. It's been a while.
Have we seen or been hinted at gods fucking in this series?
That was just a no.
I don't know. I gotta think on
not
that.
Not in this series. I don't think.
I don't think so. They're all too busy being fucking ambitious.
Busybodies.
And I mean,
my gut tells me they fuck. But
yeah.
I'd have to think on it.
Anyway,
So why don't you send us an email?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a joke, you know? It's like, gods would be in the fucking business if they weren't in everybody else's fucking business. You know, something like that.
hell yeah, that's pretty good.
So Inge, Kettle is alive. She's like, gotta go to the bathroom. She's gotta sleep. She's gotta eat. She's gotta drink. She's gotta ask that fundamental question about why we're alive. You know, all the great things us humans do. So what do you think's gonna happen with this dead girl turned live girl?
I think that thing that's inside of her is gonna awaken, because why else would it be there?
Chekhov's gun situation.
I really hope that happens, because honestly, what else is there for Kettle, you know?
Being alive? Ugh.
Yeah, but
Chekhov famously said, if you put a gun in a girl in the first act, it's gonna go off in the second. Dun. Well, AJ, let me bun up kind of something Josh alluded to about he thinks the Lothari armed forces are not doing a good job, as master tactician today dubbed. And, you know, here Bryce ends this chapter by thinking, like, we're in the throne room. He's like, damn, we're all going to die. Like, shit's going downhill. Like, what do you think of his thoughts here? Like, do you think he's going to die, that all these people are going to die, that really, like, you know, we're done?
I was really thinking hard about the possibility of Bryce dying. It makes me sad because he's so cool.
Yeah.
He's so cool. I honestly, I don't think so. I think something is going to happen with the Hold of Death, and the Wraiths are all going to fuck off, and then there's going to be an actual battle in the city of Lethris. I think the city will probably be destroyed.
Yeah.
But
I'm going to pop in after AJ.
Yeah. I want to believe that Bryce is going to live because I like him too much.
I want to say that if my epiphany that the Hold of Death could get rid of the Wraiths does actually happen, then I would like to come back and say that I don't think Lether gets evaporated. I think it's but it's tough because, man, but see, here's the problem. We know that the Tisti Eater, even if they're beaten, continue on. And it's tough for me to imagine they continue on in any meaningful way if, as an empire, they're thrown back by Lotharis. You know what I mean? We know that after this book, they go to the world that we later find out Rulad has just drowned completely. We know that's where they go and take Troll to be shorn. I just feel like that doesn't happen unless they win. I don't know. It's tough.
Well, let's kick this show into overdrive, baby.
No overdrive this week, please.
I just got all this energy. I sang a whole song.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. You know, I'm really hyped up, but pretty much this is not a day to be hyped up. These chapters are pretty, you know,
boring.
Kind of mundane, yeah.
I don't think they're boring. I just think it's at this time of the book, definitely for me, that I know the ending's about to be here and we're like about to do it. And I'm like, give it to me, Steve. We're just not quite there. We're still, you know.
Yeah. We're approaching the precipice.
We're on the last few clinks of the coaster. So with that said, let's thank our lovely Patreon supporters. India, do you want to thank them for me?
You know I love to read. Absolutely. A warm and special and gigantically loving thank you to Lord Frostfire, Philip, Lou, Scout, IRTP, Devin, Cabell, Jason, Red the Miner, Zachariah, Cody, Nicholas, Sean, Zach, and Sideshow.
Yes, kisses all around. Thank you all so very much for backing our Patreon. We saw a lot of, it's been like an extra week between recordings, but even so, this has been a larger amount than we've seen in the last.
Those kisses are if you want them. If you don't want the kisses, just like sidestep the hair kisses. They just went past you. Don't worry about it.
They're
it's no big deal.
only.
I get it.
Yes,
I get it.
Consensual kisses only.
All right,
thanks.
Josh, hit us with chapter 21, baby.
All right, here we go.
And yeah, AJ, you're right. Thanks. Deep gratitude, everyone. Chapter 21!
Chapter 21. Seren and Corlo discuss warrens and holds, specifically Makra. They talk about grief, and Seren asks if magic can erase her memories. Corlo helps her and calls her a natural talent. Seren cries deeply and reflects on her life and grief. Later, they encounter large tombs whose inhabitants they are unsure of. They speak of elder races, and then encounter Letheri, who try to recruit the Crimson Guard but fail. Troll's company want him replaced as captain. Al-Harad An tells Troll more of the Blue Rose and the truth behind the Eater's ancient betrayal. Troll then meets with his mother. Ureth speaks with him about his mistakes and scolds him for voicing his doubts. They speak then of Lilac and the Demon's World, and a war within their realm. Troll tries to resign from his post in the army, but Fear refuses and warns Troll again. Troll then speaks with Lilac and helps the demon escape. Later, he tells his mother of this, and Ureth scolds him once more. Together, they speak of the demon's world and the river within. Finally, Troll wonders if he even belongs to his people anymore. Udanas reflects on the army and then meets with Hull. He speaks with Bedict about Ironbars killing Rulad, Featherwitch's new position, and then of his debt. Udanas' debt is to a small broker named Hildo, whom Hull owns, and so Hull clears Udanas' debt. Rulad returns and is troubled by the drowning world. Udanas soothes Rulad by asking questions about champions. The Eater plan to seek champions that can kill Rulad so that his power will continue to grow. Seren finally comes across 3 armies waiting for the Eater, and they are close to Letheris. Ironbar suggests she comes with them, but she's going home.
You know, it's I've been thinking about how the series tackles race, Josh.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's obviously a big subject. I don't want to say race is a primary part of the series, you know. But I think generally it does a pretty good job talking about it. But I think what's especially interesting, recently I've been reading like criticisms of how Dungeons and Dragons uses race, right?
Yeah.
Not only in character creation, but in the way that it can use race to create morally simplistic scenarios, you know?
Yeah, there's a bunch of goblins. They're obviously evil.
There's a bunch of different race people. It's okay, we kill them. Do you mean this is like a fundamental thing in the game a lot of the time? And something I think is really great about the setting is that all the different race people, even the kind of monstrous ones in Malazan, I think are like really fleshed out and like they're really thoughtful, and I think it's like clear they have a civilization and culture. Do you know what I mean? And I know a little bit more about some of the races than you do, you know, but I've just always been struck by that, and that like
I think a big thing is language. Like none of the races or species, even if you want to use that term, they all have like the ability to use language, and many of them really fluently, in a way that I feel like D&D for so long got past by saying like, oh well, you don't understand Goblin, you know, it's like really guttural, and there's these, you know, and like if you can't communicate, you can't like see similarities in humanity. But in this one, like they're so quick. Like when we see the Forkle assailant a little bit, like I mean, instantly, as brutal of a creature as it is, instantly humanized through language.
Instantly, and I think too, and. You know, I think once you said it's like none of the races are immune from being human. You said this on the show about the Talani Mass once, and I think that even extends to the Forkle assailant on the K'chain Chamal, even though they're kind of more, you know, I don't know, more monstrous, because like obviously the Eater are like fully humanized in a different way, right?
AJ's D&D campaign, he was quick to let me know that he allows the alternate race rules, so you can put the stats into whatever.
Yeah, I think they just released that, right?
They did. It's in a book. I heard some people said it wasn't done as well as they wanted it to be, but I feel like no one's going to be pleased, you know, at the end of the day.
I mean, what they did was kind of pretty basic. It was like, oh, you can put your stat boost somewhere else. And also, most of them act like this, but not all of them. Like, it's like pretty...
Yeah, but still, it's a big, interesting conversation. If people are interested in reading about that, conversations around race and tabletop gaming, I would suggest it. I found it very enlightening. Mm-hmm. Anyway, let's kick into, now that my other co-hosts are back.
Excuse me.
Let's kick into the chapter discussion proper, and let's start by discussing everything kind of away from the Eater, which comprises Seren traveling with the Crimson Guard members. She discusses this war in Makra, and they talk about it a good deal with the Mage Corlo. And then she grieves, she cries, she thinks about her entire life, and then later they travel and decide to go south. India, what did you make of this scene? Obviously, the four of us had a lot to say about Seren last time we saw her, and these scenes are somewhat a follow-up, but not entirely dedicated to that. So what did you think of Seren in these scenes?
First of all, whatever his name is, I don't know. The person she was talking to.
Corlo?
Yeah. No idea what he was saying. Didn't understand it. And like, I had a feeling that it was supposed to be really helpful to the reader. It wasn't. So I still don't really get it. That's fine. But maybe we can like shine some light on that for into later. The M thing. The
Makra.
Yeah, that. I don't get it. Then the whole also like take the pain away thing. What happened? Did he just like make her cry and then she was like, all right, let's go?
Like from a first time reader perspective, I think that's kind of like what happened. So like, as far as I can tell, Makra is like able to influence the mind and emotions. And maybe like what they did was they just kind of convinced Seren's like, inner thoughts that she has done her grieving and it's okay to move past it, because she was really struggling to do that.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, it felt a little, I don't want to use the word cheap, but I don't know what other word to use. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It felt like, oh, she just gets to not care anymore, and I don't know if that's good or bad or how I feel about it. It was very strange to me. I was very conflicted reading it.
I was confused more than anything. I was just like reading it and he was like, well, first we could do this or we could do this. But then out of nowhere she was crying. So I was like, okay, so I guess they did the crying thing.
Mm-hmm. From how we see Makra used in the next couple of chapters, in that we don't really see it being used. And I think Corlo even says it's like a subtle Warren. It's like a very kind of unnoticeable thing unless you know what you're looking for. And it seems like, Corlo gave her a few options of what what they could go with. But I think the like grieving and her crying it out, for lack of a better phrase, and it doesn't fully get rid of her thoughts about it, or like her feelings aren't totally resolved on it, but she's now able to think about it in a healthier way, because even in that section after the fact, I guess this is before actually, Corlo had brought up that, in a way she felt like she deserved it. And like her being able to grieve and cry through it and stuff gave her kind of a clear enough head to, obviously process that, nobody deserves that. Obviously nobody wants to, put themselves in that position and stuff. But
yeah, I didn't catch that in the first read about, like not what you're saying, but like her kind of blaming herself for Baruch's death. I didn't fully grasp that, I think.
Me either.
I don't know if I was reading it as blaming herself for Baruch's death or blaming herself for getting raped.
Yeah, the rape is what I thought. But
like the way I read it was she blamed
she blamed herself for all of it.
She blamed herself for Baruch's death. The way I read it, and I was kind of horrified, was to me it sounded like she was saying she caused Baruch's death, so she deserved something bad to happen to her, which in this case was getting sexually assaulted. And that's kind of how I read it, and I was like, that is not how I read her motivations before, but I can see that, I guess. I can look back and kind of see threads of that.
Yeah.
Ange, what were you going to say?
I was curious about something that was also said that I don't know why was said, but he was like, he said she was already using it. It's already like inside of her. Magra mode.
Yeah, well, you know how like you know how Seren is like kind of always just doing shit, and you're like, how do you do that? Like, how do you know this? Like when that rock and she's able to kind of get in there and like hear the Tisty Andy and stuff. I guess Seren's got magical powers deep inside that she's really good at using, even though she's never trained it.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's probably why she's a good Aquator, because the job of Aquator is to be neutral and kind of just facilitate agreements. And I guess if she's good at Makra, this thing that subtly influences people, then maybe that's why she's so good at it.
Yeah, Corlo, yeah.
Interesting. And this is the first time that we're hearing this? Like, this is
Yes.
the first time we're finding out that she has any of this at all?
Because this continent doesn't talk about warrants. They just all
don't know
primarily
about 'em.
use... Like, they just talk about the hold. So, India, it's like, did you watch Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Yes.
Okay, so everyone on this continent is a waterbender or a firebender, but like the other continents can use blood bending, they can use metal bending, they can do all the like the lightning bending. They can do that stuff because they've kind of realized that like beyond the primal forces, there's ways to kind of like modify it and make it more elegant. And this continent does not have that ability or knowledge yet.
They're
And
fools.
Makra is like an offshoot of that.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, so like a lot of things thrown into one small part. And
Yes.
okay, that's good. That's great.
Josh, I may not describe the magic system like that, but I don't think you're entirely wrong. But it's funny you take a stab at describing the magic system. I pulled out this quote from, I think Corlo says it, trying to describe the Warrens to Seren. And he says they are not easily defined, yet simply understood.
That's Seren,
You know?
Seren says it when she finally comes to an understanding. She's like, oh, I get it. Like, oh, man, Pete, we are simpatico with the quotes today.
It's one of those things where, like, if you stop thinking about it so hard and just kind of accept it, it makes sense.
Yeah.
No.
No, and it's very funny. I almost feel like it's something, I almost feel like Steve's bragging with a line or something. I don't know. It's like, but when I hear that line, it really resonates with me because I understand what Warrens are. I don't really have any questions about them. I get it completely, you know? However, if someone was like, what is it? You know, I wouldn't really have that good of an answer. I guess I would start on a really long rant, you know, but it wouldn't really convey what it is, you know? So I just really appreciated that line. It's funny you picked it out too, Aj.
Yeah. I just thought it was like Steve finally being sick of enough people being like, hey, what are Warrens? And he's like, here, I'm going to try and describe it. And this is what it is. So please stop asking me.
But as for the scene entirely, Josh, I don't know if I agree with you but I guess for me, obviously we had our frustrations with Seren's rape last episode, right? And I still think I stand by a lot of our criticism or frustrations there, those emotions we talked through. So coming into this scene, and definitely when we were getting into it, I feel like I had my, like, you know, I had my backup, you know, I'm not like, especially when I guess there's this idea that like, as she's just going to cry it out and then be okay, or like that, like she has this passage about feeling like she deserved it or something, you know, there's all these things that I feel like I saw were these like big pitfalls that like the book steps right by. And I feel like actually I really loved this whole scene, and I think it really meant a lot to me, and I've been thinking about it for the last few days. You know, how it follows up on her specific rape plot line, I don't know, I'd have to think more about. But as writing about her feeling like a depressed and lost person and thinking about her life and how this is meant for the last few weeks, months, years, really meant a lot to me. And I think writing about a type of despair or sorrow or melancholy is often, I think, something Steve is at his heights at as a writer. And it really left a big mark on me. I really loved these scenes.
Yeah, I want to
eye roll, Inch.
I do want to walk. I want to walk back a little. What I said earlier. I don't know. Ooh, go ahead.
Did you just eye roll, Inch?
Like, he's good at writing about sad things. Like, okay, we get it.
I don't know why you're saying it this tone. It means it really meant something to me, Inch. I don't know what
it meant something to you, PB.
That's not what your tone is telling me.
No, more so the like. He's the best writer of the melancholy and sadness. Like, I get it, you know, but like I haven't connected personally really mostly at all with anything that is, and maybe it's just, maybe I'm devoid of these feelings.
I don't think that's true.
But
you're just so happy over there.
I'm just constantly happy. No, but like, I don't know. Like, I've never personally felt like, wow, this really impacted me. Like, I've been like, I'm very angry at how this was written. I've never been like, oh my God, that was the most beautiful scene. And I remember a lot of scenes where you guys have felt that way. Like, oh my God, this was so moving. I just haven't felt it. But like, I'm glad that it moves you. My eye roll wasn't about how it moves you. It was more so like, it's known that this is like such a great writer. He's such a great writer of the melancholy. But like
you feel like been there, done that.
I just feel like it's definitely more of a personal question. And
I get what you're getting at, Ange. Yeah. I get what you're getting at.
And I just don't, like, nothing against it. You know, I think it definitely is a lot of people's yum, and I'm not here to yuck it. But like, it's just not my yum, which we all already knew. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm glad they moved you, though.
All right. Any other final comments on these scenes before we boogaloo on?
I do regret saying that it felt cheap. Like, I don't know. I just feel like
it did feel cheap.
Did you say it did or didn't?
It did.
I feel like the reason I feel that is because I feel like we really hammered this plot line last week in a way that I didn't expect it to be resolved in this way so quickly. And that may be a criticism more of us and the way we were reading than it is the writing. I don't really know yet. I got to think about it more. I think that's where I'm at. I think because, like, I don't think as a one-off, like, storyline, I don't think it's necessarily bad. I just am still trying to process my feelings about it in the context of this conversation we've been having about the books as a whole. I think that's where I'm at with it. I think I just need more time with it.
I want some closure, baby.
I do think it was very cathartic to, like, see this character who has been incredibly closed off the whole book so far, see her come to terms with these. I just feel like in this, like, with, like, the specifics of it are what I'm still kind of working through.
Mm-hmm. Inge?
Yeah, I agree with all of your points. I do. It's just like, for somebody who writes so great about, like, melancholy, you'd think that we would we would, like, you know, let her feel her feels a little longer. It's like Dewick or whatever. He was a sad boy the whole time. He didn't have to cry his feelings out and get over it. Moving on.
It's true.
And that other person who then at the end, where you guys were like, oh my God, it was so beautiful. When at the end, everybody was like, thank you. Who takes all the guilt, whatever.
Oh.
Itkovian?
I'm just like, these beautiful, huge scenes. Whatever.
I think
I'm over it.
I don't know.
I'm over it.
Listen, listen, we were all there last week. We were all upset. I'm not here to defend the plot line, but I do think you're being very generous with this scene. I don't know. In my reading, I don't think it's like we're done, she's over, we've achieved good mental health, she's feeling great at the end of the scene.
No.
I mean, when she gets back to the city, clearly she's still in despair and processing her emotions. Do you mean? Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like this is a part of a step in a moment where she is reflecting on everything in her life. And I think what does leave a sour taste in there is how I feel like she's reflecting on years of depression and being closed off and these things, and that, like, this low point or whatever involves her being sexually assaulted. And obviously that I don't like that. And I think, I don't know, we discussed that last week. We don't need to get into that again. So as a button on that point, I don't know how I feel about that. I probably don't like it. But I think overall, the scene I enjoy, and I think it's getting at much more. And I don't think at the end of it, it's like, I don't know, we're finished, we've done it. I don't know. I don't agree with that, if that's what you're trying to say. So,
well, I think that's what we got out of your description of it, if I'm being honest. When you were talking about it, it kind of felt to me like you were saying, and this moment's over. And I was like, I don't think it should be yet. So if it keeps going, that's good. We don't know that yet, Pete.
But I don't know. Even in what we've read, when she gets back to,
when she gets back, she's like, and I'm alone in my house. Like, yeah, you went home to your house where you're going to be alone. Duh.
Okay, but I think there's more to that scene than what you just said, Inge, so...
I don't think there is.
Not only is she physically alone, she is just alone in every way. Anyway, we're still on this chapter.
Man, we are At one point, we talked about doing all of these chapters in one episode. Could you imagine?
No.
Shut the fuck up. Yeah,
this was just you, Pete. That was just you.
You talked about it, so let's
I
back
think
the
that was a
fuck
firm,
up.
immediate, and hard
Andy
no.
and I both immediately said no.
I do
Yes,
think.
and I'm indebted to you for that. That was a correct call.
I do think though this entire section is less than 100 pages, and we are over an hour in now. So I think we should continue moving.
Can we just like cut some of it out?
I mean, some of it will get cut out. Yes, that's how editing works.
Okay, AJ. The fuck?
Sorry, that was.
We didn't. And we gotta keep moving, but I think the Seren discussion was worth it. But we haven't even really
That was the first part of the chapter.
We haven't even really talked about the Crimson Guard, and they're around, but we gotta
Still
keep
cool.
moving.
Still good.
We gotta keep moving.
Yeah.
So,
I would throw. Okay, I'm just gonna throw myself a question. Okay, give you a chance to catch your breath. So, Josh, what do you think about Alrod On kind of just exposing the lie of the Tisty Andy and Tisty Eater to Troll in a very just sort of one-off scene? I'm glad you asked, Josh. It really felt to me like, God damn it. I mean, he needs to know for the next part of the story that this is a thing. Sure. Well, that one dude didn't like him. Yeah, him. He's mad because he's a Tisty Andy, quarter blood or eighth blood, and he knows the truth. And now is the great time to tell Troll. It really felt out of left fucking field, man. For this guy that we have like had 3 scenes with, who all we really know about him is that I guess he's the one who went up north for a bit, but now like Troll's like, I know you always had it tough because you've got blue, your mom's a half-blood or whatever weird fucking way he put it. And I was like, what the fuck, Troll? That's a weird, you just needed to say that so the audience knew he was half, okay. It just felt real heavy-handed to me. I don't know if anyone else felt that way, but that scene really rubbed me the wrong way.
yeah, left an impression on my boy over here.
Yeah.
Oh man,
I get it. He needed to know, but like, I don't know.
So after this, Chol goes and he's like meets with his mother, and they speak about the demons, and they have a whole demon dialogue about the demon realm and Lilac, and then he sets his demon free, fly free Lilac.
Okay.
AJ, what did you make of this? And what did you make of Ureth here? This is the first time we've really seen her, I would say, in a larger capacity in a while.
Yeah, we haven't seen Ureth. I mean, we've seen her, but she hasn't like spoken since like, I don't know, chapter 4 or something. Like, it's been a while. I was really refreshed, honestly. I felt really good about all the stuff she was saying and about how she has all these feelings and things. I don't know. It was just nice to have another character with another point of view that we haven't really seen.
Sure.
And she kind of shares Fear's views in some ways, but like is much more articulate about it, which I appreciate.
Mm-hmm. She seems great. Let's put her in charge. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought the Lilac stuff was interesting. I do think we should share that Josh did share with us that there are the Kenel-Ra and the Kenra-La, which are different. The Kenel-Ra are the servants of the Kenra-La,
Who are called tyrants.
yes.
Where did you
is
see
what they
that
are
in
referred
the
to.
reading?
So it's at the top of one of the pages. It's like one.
I'm looking for it right now. Okay, so it is mentioned, like they just kind of say their names several times, but it is not until
771.
7071. Okay, thank you. I've got it. Because I was like so done when I read this. Okay, so it is when they were talking about, I think it's Ureth. Yeah, it's Ureth, Troll, and Fear. Okay, here's the sentence. Ready? In return, we are given more demons for our war. Perhaps a minor Kenril-A or two, who are far better versed in the arts of battle than their subject, Kenel-Ra.
Yeah.
And that is the difference. The Kenel-Ra, which Lilac is, are the people who are like fishing and doing stuff.
They're civilians,
but then there's,
basically.
Then there's the Kenra-La. But what's unclear to me still is whether they are castes of a same race or if they're completely different races that just came up with those names independently. That's what I don't get. Peter, can you, like, are they the same type of demon, or are they, like, different physical forms of demons, or what?
I don't know. Someone can clarify for us.
If I had to guess, I would say, if I had to guess, I would say they're different casts, and I think it's more of a commentary on like things that are unfamiliar to you are like they might as well be the same thing because you don't know the difference. You dumb idiot.
That'd be funny.
That's kind of what that feels.
That's a generous reading.
That's what it feels like to me because they are so close and different, and it's like, oh, hey, what's the difference? One letter? Oh, you dumb idiot.
I gotta ask, AJ, have you been doing some yoga lately? Because that one was a stretch, in my opinion.
So India, Hull speaks with Udonis, and they talk about his debt, and then Hull is just like, oh yeah, that's like Tail, like whatever, like you're good. So I feel like we see Hull in kind of a different light here, and he's talking to Udonis. We've never seen these two characters really hang out. What did you make of this scene?
I loved it. I thought it was pretty good. I think Hull was looking for a little more information than he got, but I liked their little banter. I think Udonis is starting to bother me more and more with his just like chill demeanor. I don't know why it's so bothersome to me, but it is. Just everything's like, we're friends. That's why. Why are you like hanging out with this horrible person? Because we're friends all the time. But yeah, so I was really happy that he cleared his debt. It didn't really mean anything to me. How can you just walk up to someone and say, your debt is cleared, you're free? Like, fascinating.
It's almost as if debt is a construct and doesn't really mean anything in real life.
Bang!
Got him.
So that's how I think it.
It was stupid, but I liked it. I liked it a lot, and yeah, that's it. No really insightful thoughts about it. Shocking.
All right, I'm gonna derail the show again.
GB,
I'm sorry to say.
Man,
what, Aj?
there was a whole. I had this whole thing.
Aj, take it away.
Well,
take it away.
This is we're jumping back now to Trull talking to Lilac. Because Lilac has this whole section about.
Okay, wait.
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying. That's why I was upset because I should have said it 5 minutes ago.
All right. Oh my gosh. Listen, guys. I'm just leaning in. We're doing it.
Yep.
Do your thing. I got a thing after it. Let's.
Okay, so before we derail the show, I'm going to go back because Lilac has this whole section about what civilization is and how basically civilization is, it's summed up, the selves are not eternal, only the tasks. And so like, just like looking at a civilization zoomed out, like the people don't matter in a way. It's the things that are being done and the things that are happening that are eternal. So it doesn't matter if it's the Lethery or if it's the Eater or if it's the Kennel Ra. They're all like doing the same tasks because civilization demands certain tasks be done to perpetuate more civilization. And I don't know. I just thought that was interesting because it's just like furthering this idea in this book that like war doesn't matter and like debt doesn't matter. Like all of this stuff doesn't matter because in the end, it can all be boiled down to these tasks that must be done so that people can like eat and like sleep and, you know, survive. I just thought it was interesting. Pete?
But I think even in that, you can do something existential there if you want and say it's like, you know, these tasks are what life is about. Do you know what I mean? Like, even like there are other things. You live a life, but like fundamentally, you have to do these things to survive.
We are where civilization begins and where it ends. We are there to begin it again. Yeah.
Now, listen, we spent so much time talking about rape on the show last week. I'm almost hesitant to bring it up again, but Udonis gets raped early in the book, right?
Yes.
And we didn't talk much about it then, mostly because it happened so early on in his character, you know? And I
also struggled to tell if it was real or not.
Me too.
Because it was so out there.
It was dreamy.
But see, we have a little more time behind us now, and I would love to hear some thoughts about it, and then I would like to just get to my thought and then share to just a bigger Udonis question. So AJ, looking back on that, do you have a thought on his assault early in the book?
Not really. It happened so long ago, honestly. I don't remember. I remember it being kind of like a one sentence thing. I more remember Udonis being just like totally frightened by Menandore's appearance as just like pure light with a sword, and then the specifics of the rape I think are just like she lowered herself down or something. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it because, like you said, in the moment it happened. It was so early on in his thing, so I was still getting to still trying to figure out who Udunas was. And I haven't really thought about it since.
I think for me, the more traumatic thing was learning he has a son from that incident. I think it's tough to think about because like Udunas doesn't think about it much. You know what I mean? Like occasionally he has had like a sentence, but he's not lingering in feelings on it that often. So I feel like as the reader, I don't really know what to make of that. If he's just kind of like, well, whatever, then it's kind of like, that's okay. I don't really know what his mindset is on it.
Yes. Well, Ange, do you have anything you'd like to?
No.
Yeah, well, listen, I think there's a lot to be said on it, and I think there's been some interesting contrast in the way sexual violence is against men and women in the series. But we don't need to get into all of that now. I think what resonated with me about this, and I think an important comparison is Troll's assault in House of Chains, right?
Yeah.
Both of them share a lot of similar qualities. They both happen in somewhat dreamlike sequences. They both happen in like one-ish sentence, and they both involve like an otherworldly, godly being, you know? Mm-hmm. So there's like a lot of parallels between them. And the troll thing is very baffling to me in a lot of ways. I really don't know what to make of it. It's very confusing, you know? But when I think about this Udonis assault, it actually like really makes a lot of sense to me, or it really, I don't know, I kind of grok with it in some ways. I don't know. I still think here's a reading of it that I was tuning into earlier in the book, that like, since he has this Wivel blood in him, you know, it's like about invasion of his body in a way, and about him losing control, and about the lack of control, you know? And I was really early in the book looking back on him in this time and thinking about him as a character kind of defined by being dispossessed and not having any control at all, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's interesting because, like, even physically, you know, or maybe not physically, but like societally, you know, his lot in life is to just be a slave, is to be the property of somebody else and to act for them. Mm-hmm. And then the one time that he does kind of act for himself when he saves Featherwitch, he, you know, gets injected with his Wivel blood or whatever, and is now still not acting for himself and is now acting for Menendor. So yeah, that is pretty interesting, Pete. I hadn't thought about it in a while, but
here's where I was going with all this, is that I think that was my initial impression of Udonis in this book. But I feel like as I'm reading it through, I don't feel like he's actually a character that lacks that much control or is that disempowered. So this is building to my question to you, India. Like, do you think Udonis actually is just, you know, oh, little old me, I'm just like the slave here. I'm just Rulad's. I mean, like, there's this element where I think he's trying to portray himself as not a power player, but do you think he actually is?
Yes, I do. That's why it's annoying when he's like, I'm just his friend. That's why it's annoying. Because...
But like, isn't he not a power player? Like, he's the Emperor's slave.
He, like, on the outside is that, but he also is like, why don't you do this? What if we just did this?
But I don't see India. Wait,
but like, he's not whispering. He's not whispering. Secrets in his
just
ear.
Being his moral compass.
Well, yeah, but that's also, I don't feel like that's. I don't read that stuff as having like an ulterior motive. You know, it's just like Rulad's like, hey, what do you think? And he's like, oh, this is what I think. And Rulad's like, yeah, because like I think all in all, Udonis is a pretty reasonable fella.
Wait, I thought but Udonis has said that he plans to betray Rulad in the end.
Which is true.
That's
yeah.
Thank you, Josh.
Here's the thing. Okay, all right.
He's the grifter,
You don't have to capitalize on your advantage right away to be powerful, right? I would say implicitly, the long con is the way to go. We see that with Teho. He spent fucking like years playing his games in order to break shit. And then you see other people who are like, no, I'm going to capitalize on my advantage now. And they fucking die all the time. Like, what's Udonis going to do right now? He's a slave. He can't do shit. So he has to play the long con, and that is his power, is being there and being able to turn his situations to his advantage.
For sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to bounce those ideas off you, and I think Udonis is a really interesting character.
Udonis!
Udanas.
Yeah, him too. Both of them are.
Hey, Discord. Hey, Discord. I'm trying. All right. I see you out there. I know it. You hate it. I'm doing the Lord's work here. I'm trying my best.
Wait.
So finally,
No.
what an inch.
So when Troll specifically says to Udanas, don't betray him, and Udanas is like, I won't! He's just lying. He's just a liar. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, I think so.
Love it.
I think, honestly, that entire idea of Udanas just kind of like biding his time and doing the thing is summed up by the beginning and end of that section where Udanas starts by thinking about the Moss River eels, the skin of which you chew, but you must not swallow because it is toxic.
I love
and at the very end, Rulad's like, tell me a story that's inconsequential. And Udanas is like, let me tell you about these Moss River eels of the skin you can chew, but must not swallow because it's toxic. Like, I feel like Udanas is that skin and Rulad is the one chewing. And Udanas is trying to get him to swallow the skin, for lack of a better phrase, because we're now in this. So, yeah.
I love it. I love it. Oh my God. Wait. Well, Peter, where are you going? Go ahead. Say what you were going to say.
Hit me. No, go.
I was just wondering if we were going to talk about the whole Mayan thing.
That's next chapter.
What chapter are we on?
21.
The next chapter is 22 with the bro moment.
The bro moment.
So let's get there. I really want to talk about the brother time. But last thing, Josh, you alluded to it earlier. Rulad here is like, I flooded a whole world. I'm devastated I did this.
Yeah.
Would you be bummed if you flooded a world? And so do you think you now fully understand what that other flooded world is?
I have a greater understanding. What's tough, though, is, okay, they call that world a warren pretty consistently in the first 4 books whenever it comes up. So are we to believe, then, that these demons that we've met, like Lilac, were inhabiting a warren and that these guys just don't understand what a warren is? Or is there
Josh, warrens are not easily defined, but simply understood. So...
Are we in a warren?
I'm gonna fly to Japan and punch you.
Is the podcast a warren?
Are we?
Damn. Is Google's Cloud a warren?
No. Oh wow.
The cloud is a warren.
It was a warren the whole time.
Wow,
Hey, can someone? I know y'all have the facilities for this because you've done it before, but can someone make that astronaut meme looking at the Earth and say it's all warrens, always has been?
Oh, please, love
Thank
it.
you.
Forgot about that meme.
Now that dated the show. That's never going to.
Wait, why? Why?
Because memes die very fast. Anyway,
Memes are that meme's dead. We're already over it.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, so I think I get it though. I mean, it seems like this was a warren of some sort, or maybe some other thing that we don't have a word for yet, maybe. But there were demons there, and Rulad flooded it by redirecting the flow of a river in a way that was catastrophic. Then I guess my question is, that world seems to be like literally falling apart in book 4, like when Troll's trying to escape with what's-his-face. So, like, I don't understand how that works, really, then. How, like, the world or warren could be collapsing in on itself, because it's definitely said that's what's happening.
It's almost as if flooding it was bad.
Oh, and you know what's crazy? I just remembered that's where they see the Hounds of Darkness.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe that was maybe it was a fragment of a warren, because we have seen that curled Emerlane here, or whichever one they use, is fragmented. So I suppose this could be a fragmented part of it, holding the Hounds of Darkness, and that would then make sense by a fragment of it could be lost, but like the whole kind of remain as a sort of idea.
Yeah.
Okay,
if you think about it,
now.
like the Earth, like it's different continents, and he flooded a continent, and then another continent is falling apart, and then another continent is where Lilac lives.
And I know that what I just said has really made you upset, but I get what I said, and I feel very good about it.
You got like a full Spy Kids one.
Yeah, you're real Flukleys. What are they?
Oh my god, yes, love it. I can't believe you had that pool ready, AJ.
Man, I cannot believe I proposed we read all 6 chapters to discuss. We would have made a 6-hour podcast and I would have died.
I was so sure. I was so sure we were going to be like sub 1 hour today because we're only talking about less than 100 pages. But here we are at hour one and a hour and
you
a half.
guys were like, nothing happens. They just talk. I was like, about important stuff though.
Hey, Josh, you were right. Okay, is that what you want?
Yes, thank you.
All right, let's kick it onward. Chapter 22. The various branches of the Eater army unite. Chol reunites with his brothers Fear and Rulad. Together, they share a conversation over wine. Rulad and Fear discuss what has happened with Mayan, and Fear accepts an offer to raise Mayan and Rulad's child as his own. Troll speaks later with Udanis, asking about debt, and Troll wonders why Rulad trusts the slave. The Warlock King arrives then and asks the brothers to help with a demon. Seren and the Crimson Guard discuss how to enter Lethris, and then enter the city proper. Bryce sends words to Tehol and then speaks with Morak about Turadal Brizad. They discuss the Queen's consort's true identity, being an ancient god called the Errant. The Errant has been living in the Lothari court for centuries. Bryce finds the Sita sleeping on the central tile, and he refuses to move. The Sengar brothers arrive at the village and find a Forkrul Assail named Serenity. In effort to create peace, it attacks, killing Rulad and then fleeing. Demons pursue, while the Eater wait for Rulad's resurrection. Rulad washes up again on shore, watched by Sandalith and Withel. They briefly speak, and then Rulad walks off to see the crippled god. Withel continues to pray to his god. Esgara, in accordance with a prophecy of the 7th closure, enters the newly constructed Eternal Domicile. He sits down on his throne, now declared Emperor. Seren enters the city to find burned out houses, looting, and corpses. She's separated from the Crimson Guard and finds her empty, dusty, old house. She's alone. Finally, we see Garen Eberic, starlings above the Azath, Tehol, Kettle, all as the Errant considers the tragedy about to unfold, as the 7th closure won't arrive for 2 more days. So AJ, it's been a while since we've seen Troll.
Thank you.
Seen him live twice, baby. Had some bad taste in music as a high schooler.
Been a while.
I can't complain. I sang a whole patriotic song earlier, so
That was really good.
Thank you.
it's been a while since
I said I'm sorry.
I was like, I want to do it again, but I can't.
I don't even know the song, but let's
It's by
continue.
Stained? Gotta love Stained.
It's been a while since the Sengar brothers have been together, and we've seen Troll speak to Fear a bit, but it's been a while since he's talked to Rulad, and Rulad's certainly changed. So I wonder, AJ, how this scene struck you of just 3 brothers talking, having a bottle of wine.
This made me so sad. So sad.
I know.
Tell me more.
I don't think it really hit me until the end of this section when they are all laughing about like, oh, we're going on another quest for Hen and Mozag. Cause like, oh man, everything's the same, but it's all different. And it's just so, oh my, it hit me so hard. Just reading that last sentence of like Hen and Mozag not getting it.
That was funny.
It was just, no, yeah,
it
it was
funny, straight up. Yeah.
It was very funny, but then recontextualizing it into like the rest of the entire book, and like now Benedis is wherever he is, like everything is the same, but nothing is the same, and it's so sad because like it's kind of a vision of like what could have been, you know, like if they went on this quest and nobody touched the sword and Rulad didn't die, and, you know, they go to war anyway, and Han and Mozag's in charge, you know, they would all be going on a quest together anyway, for Han and Mozag. But the fact that it's in this context where Rulad is, you know, the ruler or whatever, it's just like, fuck, man, you know? They were so close. They were so close to being brothers and like having what Rulad wanted this whole time is to just like be loved by his brothers or whatever. Well, it's heavy.
I want to know
another eye roll from India, legendary.
I want to know AJ in India.
How dare you, Rulad?
So good. Okay, I want to know AJ in India because I did not feel sad until the very end of this section because so for me, I loved it. I thought it was very beautiful. But what made me sad was, like, knowing how Steve him, I was like, well, this means that Rulad has to die again, because we've seen that when Rulad dies, he comes back changed, and he's different, and it takes him it's taken this long since he died for Udanas to kind of, like, coax the humanity back into him. And I was like, he's gotta die. Like, this has to be the last nice moment. He's gonna have to die again. He's gonna have to come back even worse. And fucking there it is, end of the chapter. Like, he's back on that fucking island.
I didn't even fucking make that connection, Josh. Fuck. Oh, yeah. God damn it.
You can't have a nice moment with characters that aren't destined to have
and when he
good
shows
lives.
back up, back up to the Crippled Gods Island, he's like, gotta go get my sword, see ya. Like, he doesn't even hang out. He's like, oh, fucking Christ. Yeah. Well, so, fuck.
India, what did you make of the brothers sharing a drink?
I loved it. It was great. I didn't feel sad. I liked the end. I thought it was funny at the end when they were laughing because they were like, this bullshit. And like, Han and Mosag didn't get it. And that was funny and great. And I guess like when you guys say things and I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess it was sad. Like the thing about the coins, like when he got the coins on him and AJ was like, oh my God, no, India, that was really, really horrible. And I was like, oh yeah, it wasn't gross. It was horrible.
Well, but your feelings are still right. Like that was gross and this is funny.
No, I know, but it just helps me see things in a different perspective is really what I'm saying. Not that it's invalidating how I felt about it. It's just like, oh yeah, and also this.
Okay.
I think it's really touching. I think it's, and obviously it's funny, but I think it's a really touching scene. It's like, man, look, it's really like brothers, you know,
right.
Like, oh man, like it's been a few years or whatever. Everyone's changed. It's been so wild. The circumstance is so different, but it's still just like siblings sitting down and just enjoying each other's company.
This is the story of brothers I wanted when Steve told us this was a book about two sets of three brothers. This is the brother story I wanted.
But then when you look out to the bigger frame, you're like, yeah, this is not like just another fun brother hang for the Sengars now, is it? Do you know what I mean? It's like
pretty
much
heavy
more.
shit.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Do you know what I want to say real quick? You know what it really reminds me of? And I say remind even though this happened years before we see the other. It really reminds me of the episode in the last season of Game of Thrones at Winterfell, where they're all having that last big moment, and you're like, so many people are going to die. Because as I just said, that's how I feel about this. Like, I knew. But here's the thing. Like, Game of Thrones didn't deliver, and I know Steve will deliver. I know we are about to lose some characters that we have built up over a book. Yeah. Like, my bold guess is that Fear dies.
Me
personally.
too!
Can I say
Fear dies? My guess is Fear dies and Troll is blamed for it. Or Troll had the capacity to stop and didn't. And that's like to stop Fear from dying and didn't. And that's what leads to him being short. Yes, AJ, go.
I have a big called shot that's probably incorrect. I was thinking about it while reading these chapters yesterday. I think Troll dies. And I think the Troll we meet is Fear Sengar.
What?
Feeling so shitty about his brother's death that he takes on his persona.
Look at PB hiding behind that fucking hand.
This is my second wild called shot in 2 episodes, and I'm gonna stick with it.
In the last book, don't we see Troll use a spear, right? We see Troll use a spear in House of Chains, and like that's Troll's thing. Fear is not a spear user.
I thought they all use spears.
No, Troll's the spear dude.
Yeah, but isn't Fear the weapon master?
Yeah, but he would have. I don't know.
Just because it's not his weapon of choice, it's Troll's weapon of choice, and he's trying to live that persona, baby. I don't know, man.
I'm gonna tell you right now, if that happened, I don't think it's gonna happen, but if it did, I would probably quit this podcast.
If it did.
So, Steve, you better not.
Steve does some crazy shit. Steve.
That seems
does
a bit. That seems a
crazy
bit
shit.
wild, even for him.
Josh, I would agree with you, but also we have several storylines that are taking place outside of time, and also
That's
one
true.
about Jade spaceships. So I think it's all kind of. I think it's all kind of
true.
fair game.
We can do a few more predictions later on, but just to disagree with you, Josh, the reason I think, I know the type of, I actually don't remember the scene in Game of Thrones you're talking about, but I do know in general the type of scene you're talking about, right? Where it's just like, man, look at us. We're having one last moment that, just enjoy all the characters together. And what I think I feel like this scene is 100 times fucking better than that. Do you mean?
I didn't say it. The Game of Thrones one's as good as this. No, this one's incredible.
I think the scene is just so much better than that because the pleasure of this scene is not that just like, oh, all the characters you like are like together again, bro. It's like, I don't know. There's just so much more going on in the scene than that. And I think very highly of this passage.
Well, and I think it's also great because I can feel that way about the scene as a whole, and I can still think back about Fear being told that the woman he was supposed to marry is having his brother's child, but
we
he's
didn't
going
even
to
talk about that.
No, like that scene is absolutely like my stomach hurt. I was like, this is so uncomfortable of a situation, and that can happen in this scene, and I still leave it with with the only thing I'm concerned about is them laughing at the end. Like it's so strong.
Yeah.
India, you wanted to say something about the man thing.
Yeah, no, just that I agree. It's fucked. And Fear is a good person to be like, brother, it's fine. You did all this and it's fine. But also he's like kind of questionable because like, wouldn't you be pissed? But then like, how could you really? Like, what could you really do? Fear kind of probably has to know. It is what it, like he can't change or do anything about this. And so he has to accept it. But he does so in a way that's really it's nice. It's nice for the heart. I feel like that he's just like, yeah, we'll do it. Let's
it's the two things he wants, right? He wants his brother back, and he obviously wants the woman that he loves back. So he's like, I'll take this however I can get it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, bro. I don't know if I agree with their reading of that.
Well, that's kind of because I wouldn't say he's like, yeah, it's fine, whatever. I don't know. I think it's just kind of like, well, this is kind of how it has to be because this is how it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, let's keep going with the Sengar brothers for now. So next they go down and they go on this quest from the Warlock King. Also, so funny that, the Warlock... I love how... Just got a sidetrack about Hanek Bozek. I love how he's introduced as like, guys, it's the Warlock King. His shadow's a warrior. He's got... And now, like, here he is just like... And all... it's just very good. It's very good.
Sengar brothers. Can you go...
Okay, if we're gonna talk about this scene, we have to talk about the two greatest characters ever created. These fucking demon tyrants.
Yeah,
they are so good.
Yeah,
so good. We don't even get names, right?
No, they're just one demon and the other demon.
Yeah.
Also, can I talk about the thing I messaged in the group so I can call Steve out?
Don't know what it is. I forget. So go for it.
Yes, when reading this chapter yesterday, I did message the group and I was like, hey, you're going to get to the word matlock.
Oh,
it's a misspelled version of mattock, a weapon that is never, or a tool even, that I have no reason of knowing what it is. But I read it and I just had it in my head. I think it may have been an item in World of Warcraft or some other MMO when I was a kid. That was sort of a club. But I just to say, I was like, I like second guessed myself, and it is the funniest thing in the world to me that when you type in Matlock, the third thing that pops up is a forum about this scene where a bunch of people are like, what is this? And everyone's like, I think it's a misspelling of Mattock, and that's funny as shit to me that there's a whole forum post about this one misspelling. And maybe it's not a misspelling, but Google had no other idea of what a Matlock could possibly be. So, very funny.
You don't mean Matlock like the TV show?
It is spelled differently.
He's wielding a DVD collection of Matlock.
It is spelled differently, right? So he means to write Mattock with two T's, but it is spelled in the book Matlock with one T and an L. And it's like sort of a pickaxe type thing. It's a tool. It's not quite a pickaxe. But one of the demons is wielding it. And it's so also, I do have to say, spoilers, these demons don't come back, I think, because the forum is like, those two demons who like leave for the Forkless Sail and never come back. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. Or whatever the forum post said. I was like, all right, so I don't need to worry about them. That's why they weren't named.
Well, let's now that we've Josh, you've thoroughly obliterated Steve with your facts and logic.
It's just really funny, but also I can't be mad because Steve's got these two demons who are just like, I've gotta pee, I'm hungry. Like they're just kids on a road trip who are also really good at killing.
Yeah.
So, Inge, if you were an ancient Forkrella sail with two elbows, what would your name be, and how would you achieve it through your violent force?
That's a loaded question that I was not expecting.
What would you do if you could have double bendy knees and elbows?
And a weird sternum hinge.
Yeah, true. I mean, I would probably just teach yoga and be a fuck about it, Like I would be like, and now you do this, and everyone's just like, I can't do it. It'd be really funny, I think.
I only have one elbow. I don't know, PB. That's tough.
Do you know what we should do? We should create one of those like forms where you can fill out an elaborate form to get what your Forkrella sail name is.
Yeah, it's like a BuzzFeed quiz.
Aren't the names like Serenity or something? What's this one's name?
Serenity, Calm.
Yeah, they're all just like words that are feelings. You
know what worries me is eventually we're gonna meet one whose name is like Obliterator, and that one's gonna be even more terrifying. These are the chillest of the Forkrella sail.
Yeah, wait, the chill ones have been very chill so far.
Okay. When I was reading this, I was really confused because they didn't name those two demons.
Right.
So I assumed when I was reading it, and it says very clearly that a Forkrella sail comes, but for some reason, I was like, nah. And I thought that the demon's name was Serenity, and then it just randomly started attacking the Sengars. Well, and then I was like, India, this makes no sense. Like even for you, this makes no sense. So then I reread it, and I was like, oh,
nice.
So
I've done that once or twice in these books.
So, of course, Serenity kills Rulad, and Rulad washes up.
Why did they know Serenity's name was Serenity? Like, what, did it come up, introduce itself, and then...
I believe that's legitimately what happens.
I think
it does. They have a calm, like, an incredible... Oh, my God. Can we talk about, like... I know this is not exploring epigraphs, but the whole epigraph is about now there is peace. And then this Forkrella sail's like, well, there is turmoil here. I cannot leave where there is no peace.
Yeah, there won't be peace until you're gone.
Yeah, so good.
Also, who the fuck is Fisher Keltath? Because goddamn, they've written half of these epigraphs.
Yeah, I've asked Peter that question. He would not give me an answer.
So Rulad dies here, and he washes up on the beach. Inge, he kind of goes off in a huff to go see the crippled god.
I think he's tired of the bullshit.
Yeah.
That's my impression, right?
Mm-hmm.
AJ. Yeah. I'd like to defer to AJ.
Sorry, I keep doing this where I'll open the book like 2 minutes too late to like talk about a thing that we just finished talking about. When we're talking about the Forkrella sail and introducing itself, the one that Rulad is like, well, maybe we should try and talk to it. And then he talks to it and then it doesn't work out. And then he's pissed. I just thought it was really interesting that Rulad was the one that was like, maybe we talk instead of swinging my big sword.
Yeah.
That's a classic Dellum Thord. Is he the one who did it?
Yeah,
it was Dellum. And then he got hit in the head. I
also love how when it starts attacking, it attacks Trull. And it's like it swings its left hand and 2 fingers make contact with Trull's head. And then Trull says if he didn't turn his head with the hit, then he would have broken his neck. Yeah. Like, fuck.
Also, I gotta tell you, it is when Trull fights, it is crazy to me because he's like the calmest of these Eater, but like the dude is and he's not the weapon master, but he's a killing machine still.
Yeah. Like
just throwing those spears into this thing perfectly timed. It's crazy. Yeah. Also, I love Udanas just like running up the weapons like, here you go.
Question. Okay. I did read the thing about someone's neck breaking. Was that not what happened? Did that not actually happen?
No, Troll got hit, but was turning his head with the hit because he knew if he didn't, his neck would have broken. So like it's like leaning into a punch, like you lean into the way that you're gonna get punched, so it doesn't hurt as bad. Troll said if he had resisted, if he had pushed against that, his neck would have broken. He would have been dead.
Oh, so he's just bragging for us a little bit.
Yeah, he's like, man, I'm such a good fighter. I knew to lean. Yeah.
Exactly.
Listen, we really had a much longer segment about Seren earlier than I thought we were going to, but so I'll just motion towards she arrives in the city.
Yeah.
She's very alone, and I think, to me, I like this scene because obviously she just like hasn't been home in so long, and it's you know, I don't know. She's been away.
There's a dead owl in her house, and I tried my best. I was like, this means something, or it doesn't, and I'll never know.
I think the owl is definitely something. It's got to be.
Who throws an owl through the window?
Well, no,
or does it just fly in?
I imagine it flew through the window.
But if it flew through the window, why did it just die there?
Why?
Probably
so
because it was
dumb.
dying
and I came home to a dead owl. It smelled slightly like decay. I'm sad and alone. Okay.
It's like she feels like she hasn't built anything out of her life, you know? She's just been up north acquitting.
She is the dead owl.
But Pete, what does that have to do with the owl?
So, elsewhere...
okay.
The other final scenes here are kind of about Bryce, who's in the palace, and he's talking, and we learn about that the queen's consort is actually an ancient god called the Errant, obviously. And that the Errant's been all about the city the whole time, and you should have just put this all together. So, Josh, I'm sure this struck you, and you knew this the whole time, and it was kind of just, you too had been looking at the tapestries and noticed this throughout the ages.
Yeah, I mean, there's hints in the book. It made sense.
So what
That's
do you
a bald-faced lie. There is
I was about to say, there's no fucking way, dude.
It is completely out of left field.
So what do you make of the emergence of an ancient god into the palace?
Another fucking day, you know? That's my exact thought. I read it and I went, sure. Yep, Lethrus. Just fucking crawling with gods, crawling with Forkrilla Sail. Yeah, fuck it, dude.
I don't get it.
No one does. It's nonsense.
Yeah.
I don't get it. And I thought that the god was that person whose name I read in the first chapter, and I guess it's not, because you guys said he doesn't have a name.
So India. So that god is, and he's not, I don't know if I'd call him a god. He's a soul take, an Elaine soul taken, which just means he's a dragon soul taken. He is still crawling out of the earth. Okay, that's him. The consort, meaning the dude who bones down the queen as his official job, he has been the errant that the Letheri pray to, you know, errant, take me, you know, their bullshit thing they say. He's been there the whole time, I guess, guiding the people from his position of chief bone giver.
What is the name? Turudal Brizad?
Yes.
Yeah. Not to be confused with the captain who was in charge of protecting the king, Sandalath, whoever the fuck that guy's.
Morak Nevev.
We don't need the second names. It just makes it harder. Anyway, so he's the, and then, but I will say, is that the god that Bug talks to?
That's what India was asking, Josh. Not.
Okay. So Bug walks across the street and talks to that god. I guess India. I guess that is that who? Okay, Peter's nodding his head. I wasn't sure that India.
So is Turald?
Yeah.
Yes, he's the errant, the god that Bug talks to.
But he's a god?
Yes.
Yes.
He is the god.
He's the god of the empty throne, I think.
He's just there? I thought that he came, but why is he casually around if it seemed like he was just like in the shadows? Was he not? Was he just chilling in the dark by himself randomly one night?
Yeah, he probably when he was in the shadows. I mean, I would guess that like he can look human and then decide to kind of give off the presence of a god, and probably that's what he was doing at that point, was like giving off his like aura. I would guess. I don't really know though.
I need it to be known that this is very frustrating for Ind.
That's fair.
And that's it.
And I think the thing, Indy, can I say, I think the thing that is making it harder for you is it is very common in fantasy to just kind of have to go, okay, you're like, I don't know the answer to your question, right? And I'm okay with that. I'm just like, yeah, sure, at some point. But for now, it's okay that he's a god, and that's what I need to know. And that's just like, I mean, that just comes with like reading lots of fantasy books where they just hide stuff from you till the very end.
So we all kneel to the great Emperor Isgara Discanar.
Got it in one, yeah.
Got it in one, nailed it. So, Aj, what did you make of his crowning as the seventh closure is done? We're finished it. Don't ask any more questions. So it's over. Don't think about it.
None of my questions were ever answered.
I don't
the
get
seventh
it.
closure.
Can you explain what that means while you're talking, AJ?
Well, no, India. I don't know. I don't know what the seventh closure is. I don't know why he's an emperor now and why Lether is an empire. I don't understand any of that. Anytime Bryce was talking to like Brizat or whatever about like the seventh closure and all this shit, it's over my head.
Just a prophecy about when the kingdom's going to ascend into an empire. It's like today's the day, so I'm an emperor now and we're an empire now.
The problem is, it said earlier in the book that the prophecy does not explicitly name the Lether people. It just says that, like, here on this day, an empire is crowned. And now we see that 2 days from now is when the seventh closure is, which coincidentally is when the Eater are going to attack. So now we don't know which of the kingdoms, which of the empires is prophesied. Are the Eater going to destroy Lether and become the prophesied empire, or will the Lether knock back the Eater? Personally, I think the Lether are not the prophesied empire, and it is the Eater who the prophecy is about. But we don't know yet. And it's also confusing because you'd think that Errant would know the answer to that question, unless all he knew was that there would be an event that day, and he doesn't even know which one it is. So, who knows?
Speaking of Empire, we even got our first mention of Decim Backless in a while, if not the first in the series. So, big Decim Backless shout out. Am I right?
I don't know what
that's the guy from the first Empire, right?
Yeah, baby.
Okay.
We've never met him.
I was kind of just saying it to be a little saucy.
No, spicy.
Yeah. Wait, is that your hand raised for a question?
Oh, hit us, Inge.
What is wrong with the Sita?
Oh, yeah. I've been meaning to talk about the Sita the whole time.
I think he's figured out that they fucked up. I think that he got enough information that now he's like he's rethinking everything he ever thought about the seventh closure, and I feel like he's gonna realize they got it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Why is he just cleaning the floor and sleeping? Like, what is happening?
That's his tile.
That or maybe this eternal domicile is like ready to just kind of explode with power or something, and he's trying to stop it. I don't know, India.
Yeah, because he is at the perfect center of the room because he asked Bryce to count the tiles and find the center one.
Something's going on.
Yeah, I don't know. I just read in my notes that he loves his tile. So
yeah, very confusing.
Very confusing, India.
Gosh, these chapters, man.
So finally, it ends kind of there's kind of a checking in with everyone. There's kind of an omniscient point of view that sees everyone, and that is like, it's going to be tragic, everybody.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, it's the Errant who thinks that, right? Like they 2 days off. They're 2 days early.
So it's been a long episode. We've really taken the cake. And
2 hours. Holy shit. On a less than 100 pages.
So I just wanted to say thanks to everyone who listened. Let us know what you think of the show at 10 Very Big Books at Gmail and Twitter. And we're really looking forward to finishing the end of Midnight Tides in 2 weeks from today. We hope you tune in. Now, before we get there and say AJ roll the goodbye, I want to hear some predictions for how the book is going to end. AJ, you're going first. Your alphabetical order. Roll call.
Okay, I think because the Errant sees some starlings, and we saw a bunch of birds when Serenity was around fighting. So I think Serenity is going to show up and fucking wreck shit. And then I think once the Azath fully becomes a hold, those 5 Toblakai are going to go inside of Ublala. And there's going to be this big Ublala Forkrilla sail battle that's going to like obliterate the city or some shit. And I don't know what the Empire is going to be, but that still has to happen, I guess, because that's a prophecy. I don't know. And then everybody else lives and it's good and everyone's happy at the end.
Also, don't forget, there is the ever-looming threat of Talani Mass erupting from the ground again and killing a lot of things. So if that happens, fuck this book.
Yeah, maybe that'll be the Empire. Maybe the Talani Mass, it'll be a Talani Mass Empire.
All right, let me give you let me get a more finely tuned prediction out of India. What is going to happen with Rulad Sengar in the end of the book?
Here's what's gonna happen. Okay. Rulad is gonna come back even crazier than before, and then he is gonna be like, I was just kidding about this whole Mayan situation.
Oh, no.
So incredible. So incredible.
Also, now I'm gonna... Okay, Roulette is going to somehow be the cause of Fear's death. Then Troll is going to try to kill Roulette. Then he's going to fail. Then he's going to get put in the water.
Shorned.
Love it.
Then Roulette is going to die at some point for good. Because I don't know Roulette in the current book. Or maybe he'll go somewhere else. Really, Roulette's unknown to me right now. Well, but they will win.
Well, what do you think's known to you then?
Nothing.
All right. But
Troll?
you feel...
What do you mean? What does that mean, Peter? Don't
Well, you make
me.
it sound like Roulad's... I mean, when you said this thing, it made it sound like Roulad's an open question, which would stand in contrast to maybe a character or plot line you feel like you know how it's going to wrap up.
Well, I guess unless AJ's idea is what actually happens, and if so, that's kind of fucked up. Troll seems pretty concrete.
Mm-hmm.
Unless he is in fact Fear, and then everything I thought was wrong. Which honestly, Steve has a very, very, very impressive way of having, like, I don't know, 35 open stories and just threads that are everywhere. And then at somehow in 3 chapters, he's like, here's your nicely wrapped present. You're welcome. Yeah. So it just, and
Josh,
it never is what I think.
That covers the Eater. Let me hear from you what you think is going to happen with Tehol and Bryce Beddick.
I think Tehol is going to find out he didn't need to crash the economy due to the destruction of Lether, and he's going to, I guess, go maybe live with his refugees. I hope he doesn't die. I would be really fucking bummed, but, you know, I guess we'll find out when we get there. And then I feel like Bryce is so set up to die that he can't, but I don't know what would happen to not have him die. I really don't know for Bryce.
And just going into the finale here.
Shit, wait, Bryce has the names of all those gods in him. That's got to come back up in some way. So.
Oh yeah.
So that's gonna. I guess that'll come back.
There's so much shit in this book, guys.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why Bryce won't die.
And it's man, what a conversation we've had today. I've actually really enjoyed today's episode. I did want to ask one final thing before we kind of get into the finale. I'm sure I'll do it again in our wrap-up episode. But, what's do we, now, do you know what? Let's sit on it. I'm going to sit on it, and next time we'll do Brother Zone, be it next week or the map wrap-up. It'll be a final Brother Zone. We'll pick a favorite brother.
Okay.
Overall. Okay. Overall favorite brother. But we'll save that for then. So thanks everyone for listening. And I say come, you say passion, come, passion. Man, the enthusiasm was not there today. And that's all right, you know. I can sing It's a Grand Old Flag again. That segment really didn't work.
No, I think that's fine. Thanks everybody for listening.
You can catch us on Twitter at 10very. Did we already say that?
Hello, everybody. Producer AJ here, getting ready to play some D&D. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the podcast. We only have one more left before we are done. Midnight Tides. As Josh said, you can let us know your thoughts about this and all of our other episodes on Twitter at 10verybigbooks or via email 10verybigbooks@gmail.com. If you'd like to join the conversation on our Discord, you can head on over to bit.ly/VBB Discord and join everyone there. That's capital V, capital B, capital B, capital D Discord. That link will also be in the show notes. Thank you to all of our wonderful patrons over on Patreon as well. We are now over $600 per month, which is just incredible. Thank you all for helping us make this show. It really, really means the world. If you'd like to check out our Patreon, you can visit the link in the show notes or head on over to patreon.com/10verybigbooks, where we have a new public post outlining some of our goals for the show in 2021. It's been up for about a month now, so if you're interested in that, again, that link will be in the show notes, and that post is public. So you can read that even if you aren't a patron, in case maybe you want to know what your money will go toward if you become one of our patrons. So again, link in the show notes to our Patreon. And as
always, thank you so very much to Dan Gesrick for making our spectacular logo. You can follow him on Twitter at Dan Gesrick for the hottest Houston pro athlete takes. And of course, the wonderful music in today's episode is by the one and only Amaranthin from their album Simulant Rain, which you can find along with their other music on bandcamp.com. The links to their pages will be in the show notes, and 10 Very Big Books will be back in 2 weeks on February 12th with chapters 23, 24, and 25 of Midnight Tides. The finale is finally upon us. Talk to you then, and thank you so much for listening.